with the recent bailout, international bankers and power brokers have engineered the current crisis to create a new currency and a new world bank to act as savior. But we've only seen the beginning. The insiders have discovered that they can control two things to seize total control and power. One is the world currency, which they are currently being prepared to accept, and the other is food. We are witnessing the engineered financial crisis, folks. Don't wait until it's too late. Go to foodshortageusa.com to learn how to make your own storable foods for you and your family. Prepare for the road ahead. This website reveals a step-by-step way for the average person to get prepared for what's ahead. I think the best part about the system is it gets you off the food grid, even if you don't have a lot of money to spend. The site is foodshortageusa.com, one word, or 877-327-0365 to learn more. 877-327-0365. Alan, I said I was particularly having you on today, and we appreciate your time to take calls so we could go in different directions than you or I would normally focus on. I'm, pretty much on the same page with you in your research because we just go to their own source documents with the chemical dumbing down, the biological attacks, what they're setting up. But I want to go to the calls, and we've been interrupted by a few breaks and my seconding everything you're saying. But, I can't help myself. It's also accurate. I want listeners to know this isn't a joke. This is earth-shatteringly important. But encapsulating it, and then I want to go to calls. Again, you're trying to give people the facts like you always do. I do the same thing. But going from the, up-close view to the wider view, just in a general gestalt, what their time frame is, what the world's going to look like, what their end game is. Alan Watt from CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com.
Yeah, they want to manage the takedown of society, and at the same time, they want a unified world to come out of it at the very end with the survivors, with a new system, a standardized world system, where they can literally replace all the old types with better genetically enhanced types that will serve the elite better. Now, we know that the elite themselves are not going to dumb themselves down. Charles Galton Darwin was very explicit about that in his writing. So was Arthur Koestler. He said, we, the elite, must retain our survival capabilities because we will be guiding planet Earth, but the rest of the people will not need theirs because the state will be making all the decisions for them. So that's what they want to come out at the very, very end, a placid, compliant, genetically enhanced, more productive species, but a far reduced, more efficient population. And when you tie that in with the Department of Defense's think tank study for NATO, which was echoed by the U.S. military's one, it's they're identical, they see nothing but riots starting around 2010 to 12 to do with food and various other things, necessities really, and escalating for 30 years. Now, that ties in with the timelines that the United Nations has talked about for their new global society with the reduced population. They say in their own documents now there'll be a vastly reduced population by the year 2030, 2035. So we're looking at a long-term business plan that's going to reduce population. During that time, they will be putting big money into genetic enhancing of specific people to serve them better new strains. And at the end, as the old man dies off, they'll bring in the new type. In fact, the old man will be unable to even procreate and reproduce. So they'll bring in the new type, and this will be the reason for bringing in the new type. Well, we've all gone sterile. We have to do it. And no one will complain. No one will object. They'll think it's just a necessity and a strange thing in nature. That's how... See, most people don't think on a conscious level. They're in a state of almost perpetual hypnosis. And this has been done by scientific indoctrination from birth, plus the masses of entertainment they take in. They cannot tell fact from fiction. They have no reasoning abilities. And they do expect, like Brzezinski says, they expect the media to do the reasoning for them. And unfortunately for most folk, that has happened.
And that's why we see all the pre-programming. The Pentagon back in 2000, as you know, said, we'll use Hollywood, we'll use movies, we'll use security, we'll use the call for Alzheimer's patients. We will use the fad-driven PR, peer pressure system, public relations system, to sell the public on taking microchips.
Yes.
And they talk in all these government white papers and documents. I covered one on Sunday. I think I'm going to play that clip later, Dr. Kaufman talking about it from the document, about how most people don't even have their own thoughts. how we're pathetic slaves. I mean, they're really doing this to you. And I just feel so sorry for the yuppies and people who are so arrogant and so into themselves being powerful. They've been trained to laugh at us, and then they wonder why their son, is sterile, or why they are sterile, or why they're so unhappy, or why their wife has breast cancer at 40. And it's all engineered, and they just sit there dying, still loving the lie.
They do. They truly. See, the trick was, and it's been written about too, is to make a generation believe that they were on the cutting edge, that no other society has ever had before in history, and that all information is out there and it's all true, and therefore, in other words, there's nothing you can tell them. They truly believe everything that they've been told.
An arrogance, a haughtiness, a false satisfiedness that they're members of the elite. I mean, here's a microcosm. There have been tens of thousands of urban warfare drills the last 25 years. I mean, they have thousands a year. So, I mean, it's got to be tens of thousands, more than tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands. And they always tell the town or city, even though they may have been there 15 times over the years, you are the first city to have this drill. You are special. You are the first city to have us tax you to drive your car with transponders. You are the first. And I would always see that and go, but they're not the first. But again, it's part of that, oh my God, I'm part of the first. I'm cutting edge. I'm a trailblazer. Go ahead, please.
Exactly. That is how it's done. And they truly believe that the most advanced species that's ever existed. That's exactly what Bertrand Russell and others said in the 50s. They said, we shall create an egocentric society, a hedonistic society where they'll live for themselves and think they know it all, and they will be the willing fools for our strategy. Well, that's happened. That's happened.
And you can take them to the documents, the published works, government policy, and they will just laugh at you. They'll get this pre-programmed little smile and go, sure. Man, I tell you. And now they're openly announcing world government, Alan. They're now openly announcing the banks are going to run it all, carbon taxes. And still, people email me and post on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com in the comments. They say, oh, they're announcing world government, but that's different than the one you're talking about. Or governance isn't government. It says Lord Rothschild called last week for governance. Well, governance is, in the definitions, government, the system of government. So global system of government. And then they say, okay, they're calling for a new world order, but that just means a new system. And I go, but we told you specifically it would be by the bankers, that they would create the collapse. We had their documents. And they just say, no, I'm sorry. I'm in power. I'm a member of the establishment, and that's impossible. I mean, how do you break through to them?
Most of them you can't. I've even had people, yuppies, who say that they want the brain chip, and that the big benefactors at the top that designed it to help them and to make them happy. They really believe this.
I've had them tell me that too.
And I say to them, I say, well, don't forget there are going to be central computers to program that chip, which means you're not going to be in control of your own mind anymore.
And they just laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're a lost cause, and I realize this is a war, and you have the vast amount of people are the casualties. That's just the plain fact. But in a war, you got to see the war that's still going on and accept those who have fallen, and you go for those who are still standing. That's the ones you try to help.
Well, the good news is there are more people than ever that do want to hear, that do want to know. And it's so three-dimensional and even four-dimensional how it's all interlocked. And after decades of study, you can get a map of it in your own mind. You can articulate it, but still, it's so hard to articulate the subtleties to people. The globalists in their own documents articulate it and try to articulate it. And because the public can't see it as one-dimensional or two-dimensional, they'll just throw it out of hand saying, that's too complicated for anyone to run, when it is being run and they say they're running it.
They say, and that's the key to the term they're using of governance. You see, the new system that's already here, it's been here for a long time, is a system that to the public appears to be something called democracy. In reality, you have a parallel government run by foundations, which in turn are a front for the ancient establishment, the very wealthy, rich establishment. They fund the non-governmental organizations that appear to speak on behalf of the public,